Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB Bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and today we are going to be chatting with a one-of-a-kind woman who was born in the Bahamas, but now lives in Vancouver, where she turned pro in 2012 at the Canadian Nationals. Eboney Chipman, how are you doing?
I am doing fabulous. How are you?
Woo! I'm doing awesome. Super excited to be talking to you today. I know we have had this in the works, so we have a lot of juicy things to talk about. But before we even get into it, I got to just ask, what's one ritual or thing that you think about or do right before you step on stage?
Right before I step on stage, I don't know if it sounds cliche, but in my head, I'm just like, girl, you got this, you got this. Because as comfortable as I am on stage, I still get, right before I take that first step onto the stage, the nerves just kick in. And then I'm like, girl, you got this, you're good, go out there and work it. And then that's always what ends up happening.
Nice. I love it. Yeah, a little pep talk for yourself.
Oh, yeah. I know everyone
good.
has their own particular rituals and, they range from what people do. Some people, have a shot of vodka just to chill them out. But
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I'll just talk to myself behind the camera.
I'll pass. It's fine. Thanks.
Yeah.
I remember one time, my very first show, actually, they were like, we found alcohol, and if we find it on you, we're going to kick you out of the show. And I was
Oh, really?
yeah, it was super intense. It was at a muscle contest show in 2015, and I guess some people were taking shots, and one thing led to another. They could smell the alcohol. They saw the alcohol. I think it's more like they don't want to see it. They don't want other people in the audience to see it. They don't want people to, it's not a good look, I guess.
I was volunteering at a novice show once, and I was backstage, and there was a mother-daughter back there both drinking red wine before they went on stage.
They're like, let's get vascular.
Exactly. They're like, let's just do it. If I look silly, you're going to look silly too.
Exactly. I can't imagine red wine though. Like my teeth and my lips would be like on another level.
People say it makes you vascular.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? That's the excuse. And I'm doing like my hands in the quotations as I'm talking to you. Like, that's the excuse to drink it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, come on, we don't need to do that. There's other methods, but yeah, interesting how everybody has their own little thing. That's why I'm always curious as to what people do. And a big reason why I wanted to bring you on this show is that you are not afraid to put your thoughts and feelings out there about wanting to compete or not, actually. And I think that some athletes shy away from saying that they just don't have that itch at the moment because they don't want people to think that they don't love it anymore. But I think what you're doing is saying that you respect the process, you love the process, but you just don't need to prep right now. And I would actually love if you could share with everyone how you know or how you recommend people come to know if they are fully ready for a prep or not.
I've gone through so many preps, and each prep was honestly 100% different in terms of the learning experience that I had with it. And I know, and this, again, this may sound a little bit cliche. If you are even 99% into it, that's still not enough to prep. I went through waves where I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to dedicate to eating clean. That's it. And then I thought mentally that would lead me into wanting to prep. But to prep, you have to put so much on hold. I feel personally, I know a lot of people rant and rave and preach, I was able to do a prep and I was able to balance my life and this, but it's hard. it's really hard to work full time, to have a relationship, to, you know, then getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, dieting, this, that. And so I've been through so many preps. I just told myself, you know what? I love it. I love the process. But right now, I just don't want to put myself through that. And it wasn't that difficult of a decision to make, because my life is good. I'm happy in my work. I'm happy in my relationship. You know, I love my crazy cat. And I just don't want the dynamic to change drastically. And unfortunately, if I dive into the prep, it's like game on.
Yeah.
You know? And I want to be able to right now to just relax and spend time with my family, my friends, and do things. And I remember when I went to my first prep, I didn't know much. And people would invite me for like birthdays, and I'd be like, no, I can't come. I'm in prep. Anniversary dinners, barbecues. I refused to go anywhere. And then once I got used to prep, I know that I could go to those things and enjoy myself, but I'd have to bring my own food.
Yeah.
And I just got to a point in life where I just said, you know what? I'm not ready to give it 100%. And it was hard to really go online and say that. But when you go online and you expose yourself and you're vulnerable and you tell everybody your truth, then the comments just start flooding in with people saying, oh my God, like I felt the same way. It's so good to hear somebody say it. Because, you know, it's social media, especially like within the fitness industry, it's just like, it's such a charade a lot of times to keep up the perfect image that you're always, you know, always eating clean, always wanting to prep. And that's just not my reality. I just didn't want to do it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do it this year.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing wrong with it. It's like, you know that other things are fulfilling you right now. You don't need to do that to prove anything. And I think what you said about exposing yourself and the truth actually leads to a lot of people going, oh, I've been there. It's like they maybe would not have said it or admitted it or felt comfortable even commenting it, you know, had you not said it. And I think that, I've said it a lot of times on this show, but I think that when we are vulnerable, we create space for others to be authentic and others to feel comfortable with being vulnerable as well. So I think it's really awesome that even though it was a little bit challenging for you, you were still able to step up and do it. And of course, as a competitor, there is that expectation we place on ourselves or the perceived expectations we think others have. And you mentioned that sometimes people think you're always eating clean or always, you know, wanting to prep. What is your life really like right now? What right now, like what's lighting you up, or what are you focusing on and spending time on?
Okay. Well, right now I'm part of, my actually, tongue tied. My mother just moved back from California, so that's really, really nice that she's back here in Vancouver and I'm getting to spend time with her because I really miss her. She's been gone for a year.
Wow.
And you know, I'm just like happy with life right now because, you know, like I'm really close with my family, and I do human resources at a structural steel company too, so I'm really content with my job. And right now for the last year, I've been a part of something. It's a program called Her Time. And it wasn't started by me. It was started by these two female police officers that I know. And it's a program geared towards young women because in our city, in Vancouver, and also in our province, we have a lot of gang violence here, like a lot. And there's so many programs and initiatives geared toward young men, and there's nothing for young women. So I got involved with this, and I started going to these presentations and speaking with these young women and connecting with so many of them. And it brought me so much fulfillment doing that. And throughout the last year, I've spoke to what's over 3,000 kids now. Nice. And you know, we're going to Chicago in August it's like a national gang, I think it's gang and drugs or just gang conference we're going to speak at. I'm speaking this coming Wednesday at a conference. There's another one March 6th where there's 1,500 kids. I spoke yesterday at a university, and the university I spoke at yesterday, actually, it was the 1-year anniversary of my first speaking engagement. And
Mm.
the professor told me that students from last year that were done with that class knew I was coming back and came last night just to listen to me speak again.
Oh, wow.
Because I tell my truth and my story, and it relates to people, and I've just been able to give back, and that's what's making me feel so fulfilled right now in life. And the thing is, I have so many young girls on my Instagram now that I've actually gone back through it, and I've deleted some of the more risque things. I haven't scrolled down to the very bottom, but I've scrolled down quite a bit and taken some stuff off just because I have little girls looking at me in a different light now, and I just don't want them, I'm not knocking it, but I just don't want them to think that I'm so self-obsessed by only eating chicken and asparagus and beans and rice. You know what I'm saying, right? So I just want to change things up again. And I think that's another reason why I just chose not to compete this year, because I'm finding so much fulfillment in what I'm currently doing. And when I was competing, that fulfilled me. But only to a certain degree. This actually, this fills my heart up. And so I'm so happy with what I'm currently doing in my life. That's why I just don't want to change anything.
That's awesome. And what exactly, like when you go and you're sharing and opening up to these girls, like what is the story that you're telling them? Like what is it that you are sharing?
In the initiative, like I said, it's geared towards young women. And in my past, I'm 36 now. It's happened so long ago. When I was 19 to 27, my ex-boyfriend was involved in that lifestyle. And so I give them my perspective on dating somebody like that, and how I tell my story in hopes that these little girls can avoid going down the path that I did. And by that path, I mean, like, just being a trophy girlfriend for someone that is, my ex-boyfriend wasn't like a big gangster, but someone that's, frowned upon in society. And so I just go and I speak my truth, and it relates to some and it helps some, because after I do presentations, my Instagram, my DMs blow up. And I honestly have 12-year-old girls reaching out to me.
Wow.
Telling me their stories and asking me how they can avoid this, or, 12-year-olds tell me, I have a boy that's 17 that likes me. What do I do? And this and that. And so this is honestly also led me to look into going back to school to get, it's a child and youth care degree.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I have so many young kids reaching out to me. I'm like, let me just, I want to keep rolling with this.
Yeah. It's a huge market to help. They have a lot of problems, and very specific problems, not like not normal, I guess you could say, but normal for that community.
Exactly.
And that's the part where someone like you who's lived that and has seen it can really make an impact. So I think it's really cool that you're so heavily involved with that. And it's no surprise. Yeah, you're welcome, of course. And it's really no surprise that they're reaching out after. When you can make an impact like that, it goes a long way. And people listening, like, maybe have never, ever, ever seen that. I know I haven't. And so to me, it's like, wow, like perspective, for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And also want to say, like, I can't believe you're 36. Like, you look so much younger than that. Just wanted to say.
Thank you.
You are so welcome, of course. Not that 36 isn't young, but I was just like, you don't look 36.
It's so funny when I think about competing. I'm like, hold on, I could do a master show now.
Oh my gosh, you could.
But it's crazy because with the Masters shows, like, I don't know if they still had it, but at one point they even had a Masters Olympia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think with Masters shows, though, even if you win first place, the points don't count. You just pretty much win recognition.
Dang. I don't know if that's enough.
I know.
Kind of want to take it to the next stage.
Not for what I have to go through in prep. No way.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Exactly. And of course, you have been competing for a while now. How long were you an amateur before you went pro?
And I don't know how it is in the States, but in Canada, you have an amateur show, which is like your first show, which is obviously just as it is, just everyone's an amateur. Then from there, because you guys have you have states, we have provinces, you do a provincial show, and that's everyone in the province. And then you do the Canadian Nationals if you are able to place high in those shows. So I entered my first amateur show at like 8 weeks out. I didn't know what I was doing, but somebody, my ex-boyfriend at the time, recommended, oh, have you ever thought about competing? And I was just like, no, it never crossed my mind. And
were you into fitness and stuff at the time?
I was into like, I would buy like an Oxygen magazine and open it and be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the gym and try this. My ex-boyfriend always joked, he's like, when you went to the gym, you were honestly just baking cookies. He's like, he's like, in your mind, you might have thought you were working, but you know, I wasn't. I was just kind of fluffing around the gym.
Yeah.
The first time I stepped foot into a gym was right before my first show. I was 28.
Wow.
And yeah, it's crazy because girls these days are competing at like 19. So
Me.
I did my, oh
yeah. Totally. Yes.
I did my first show and I got second place. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. This is neat. So I'm like, let me run with this. So then I did the provincial show. It was like 6 or 7 months later. And then I won that.
Whoa.
So then I'm like, okay, let me do the Canadian Nationals. And I did the Canadian Nationals and then I won my class.
Wow.
And then I turned pro.
That's wild.
So it was actually really simple. It was just, I just did the 3 shows and I turned pro.
Wow. That's awesome. And then from there, what kind of sparked your journey into like the pro league?
I took that, I can't remember the exact like time frame because that was a few years ago, but I remember because I'm Canadian, I was like, okay, no matter what, my first show is going to be Toronto Pro Show. Because I'm Canadian, it only makes sense to do that first. So I did the Toronto Pro Show. I got ready for the Toronto Pro Show, and I remember I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, like, you know, I'm Canadian. I won the Canadian National. This is my first show. I bombed at my first show.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, terrible.
Wow.
But you know what? I was still on the pro stage, so that's what made me happy. Oh yeah, I just did. In my mind, I definitely did terrible my first show. I needed to change my posing, my hair, my suit, my makeup, everything being dialed in, and it was just a disaster.
Lesson learned.
I wish I had one of those experiences where people are like, oh my gosh, my first show, I got first call out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that at all. You know? And after I won my pro card, I was honestly, I'd never dieted before. So after I won my pro card, I'm like, that's it. I'm done.
Oh, wow.
In terms of dieting, I'm like, I am done dieting for a while. I just want to do my thing, have some fun, relax. And I did that. And I'd never experienced like, okay, because like I said, I never dieted. So I never experienced losing weight and then gaining weight back and then having to lose it again. And that's what happened for leading up to my first pro show. And I was like, this is terrible. And I never want to go through this again. But, you know, unfortunately, that cycle didn't end because I'm 5'11".
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of girls preach that they're able to stay, you know, within 5 to 7 pounds their contest weight. There's just no way I could ever do that because you know, 5 to 7 pounds for me away from my stage weight is still way too small for me to maintain naturally. It's just, it just doesn't happen. So I do go through the cycle of putting on the weight and having to lose it again, which can definitely be annoying.
Yeah, I understand that completely. Like it also is like as you're gaining that weight back, some like I'll be completely honest and vulnerable here too. I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to lose this. Like it's gonna have to come off.
For sure.
And
that's kind of that moment. That's that, you know, that moment where you're just like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? Once I decide I am doing a show and I am prepping, then it's literally a light switch is on.
Oh yeah.
Like the thought right now, like I was going to the gym in the morning with my girlfriend, and which is really awesome actually, going with a partner, and we're gonna switch over to nights. So it's funny, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, now I can sleep in, but because I love sleeping in the morning before I have to go to work. But if I was on prep and I had to get up, I swear, if I had to get up at 4 a.m. every day, I would do it.
Oh yeah.
Because I know mentally I'm on prep.
Mm-hmm.
But now
Yes.
you can pay me to wake up to go to the gym early.
I know that feeling for sure. I definitely I was working a job that it was practically full time because I was doing so many other things too, but I would have my first client at like 5 and the drive was like 25-30 minutes. So to get my fasted cardio done, I'd have to be in the gym. Sometimes like leaving my house at 3:50, get there by 4, just so I could be ready for the day.
You are kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding you. And like, luckily it wasn't every single day, but there were some times where I was like, this is not happening. But I didn't even complain. I didn't question it. Nothing, because I was on prep. That's what you do. You do what needs to be done. And that's that.
Exactly. Exactly. And just listen to your coach and do what exactly what you're told.
Yeah, and it's like, if this is something you want and you're passionate about and it excites you, and it's not that hard to wake up. It's like, when you're in your improvement season, you don't have to do that. So it makes it easier not to. But
And you know, when you buckle down and you know it, you have to get up early, you make the sacrifice of maybe not watching. Like for me, I know I like to binge watch stuff on Netflix, as do so many people. I know. And you know, Ebony, instead of tonight watching 6 episodes, you have to watch 2, drink your chamomile tea, and go to bed.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, long as you're in bed early enough, you'll be fine. But you know, even with social media, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock. Go in bed 9. You're on your phone till midnight,
Oh
which is
yeah.
what a lot of people, including myself, have been guilty for.
I definitely feel like shit when I do that to myself. I'm like, why? First of all, like, why am I looking at all these people's things? Second of all, like, I was supposed to go to bed like 3 hours ago. This is
I remember one prep, I was so like amped. I don't remember what one it was. I was so amped up. And at that time, I literally lived directly across the street from a gym. Like I woke up, walked out the front door, 10 steps, there was the gym.
that's
I was
awesome.
I know, I was so pumped up. My eyes, like I'd be dead asleep and bing, my eyes would open every day at 5 a.m. And I'd be at the gym door at like 5:28 for them to open at 5:30.
Open these doors. I
Yeah,
know.
but there's no way that's happening now.
For sure. And that's like part of that process. And you're very happy now. You're happy on prep and you're happy now. And it's like, there are different things in life and different circumstances and people and opportunities that can make us feel a certain way, commit to certain things. Like, you're willing to travel to these conferences and give speeches. That's your priority right now. You're willing to put in that work while also working a full-time job. And it's like a discipline in any aspect of life. And of course, with discipline sometimes comes extremes, and some women will go to extremes to get this look or the need they want. And this is true in life as well, like workaholics, right? But and
Definitely.
specifically, about competing, there are extremes, and whether they whoever's listening, whether they compete or not on this show, I don't really need to say it or draw the picture and directly mention it, but we all know what I'm talking about. So what are the extremes you have gone to or you see others go to, whether that's through diuretics or cardio or fat burners, like, without, bringing up the thing that shall not be spoken about? What's,
Right.
what's been your experience?
It's, you know what's so funny is like on my TV behind me there's Harry Potter, and Lord Voldemort is the name that you're not supposed to say. He who shall not be named.
Yeah,
You know,
literally.
I've definitely seen it all when it comes to prep, because I know so many girls that compete in all broad spectrum of the categories. Speaking on behalf of myself for Bikini, when I prep, I I'm not one of those girls who can prep and say, oh, throughout my prep, I only did 20 minutes of cardio. Like, no, I have to do a shit ton of cardio.
Same.
And the thing about it is, I remember I was with a particular coach, and I was doing 3 hours of cardio every day, plus weights, plus full on starvation. When I mean full on, I mean just the most absurd things you've ever heard of in your life. Like, particularly one meal I'll never forget. I was allowed, it was 3 raspberries with
Mhm.
like a fourth of a cup of oats. And I don't remember what the protein was, but it was just the most absurd numbers you've ever heard of in your life. And I didn't know anything about prep. And this is a
Yeah.
really, really big name coach. And so I just listened. And
Mm.
to top it off, my workouts were so long. And like I said, so I was doing an hour and a half of cardio in the morning, long weight workouts, an hour and a half of cardio after that.
Damn.
I was just done.
On
And it's
3
funny.
raspberries.
Oh, three. Yeah. Right. And the thing is, I still didn't end up lean enough for that one particular show that I was
Right.
doing. When it comes to fat burners, oh, I've definitely taken my fair share of fat burners.
Mhm.
I can't lie, they definitely do help me a lot, especially with my lower body. When I take fat burners, like right now, I don't take anything, and I haven't taken any type of fat burner or stimulant for a really, really long time. And but once I do take them, it's like the weight just starts to fly off.
Oh, yeah.
But the weight's flying off, but then my heart rate's also going up, my anxiety's going up, and those are
Mhm.
things that I don't have right now, and I don't look forward to. And that's another thing that kind of, in a sense, scares me to prep again, because my body's so happy with me right now. And for me, like I said, to prep, I honestly, I eat fat burners like it's like candy, just like always popping them. And
Wow.
I just don't want to go through that again.
Mm.
Which, and with diuretics, totally honest, I've definitely taken diuretics before, and I haven't had, a negative experience on them. I find that they do work for me personally, but I know girls that have taken too much diuretics, and they think that's just going to make them leaner, and they just have these negative side effects when they're cramping an hour before a show, they're cramping in the middle of the night when they're asleep, just these crazy things that people do. And everyone does it because everyone wants that first call out, the elusive first call out
Mm. Mhm.
that just matters to so many. And with the way it's not, and not everybody, but the way some bikini competitors are looking these days, it's just, you can tell that they're going to such extremes to get to that point. And I just look at that, and I just don't desire to go to those extremes, because I just don't want to put my body through that.
Yeah. Yeah, I could understand that, especially because, like you said, when you're taking fat burners, and this is for any type of fat burner, really, even, when we're talking about ones that people get off the shelf, like people like take this stuff on a daily basis, even in an improvement season, they're taking fat burners, and it's increasing your cortisol. Like you said, it's bringing your anxiety up, your heart rate's going up. Like, that's not healthy. And then it inhibits its ability to be as beneficial moving forward when you really need it. And
Exactly.
I mean,
It took me a while though, because like,
mhm.
even when I was off prep, or like, improvement season, I would still take them, because, and my, honestly, my fat burner of choice, when I'm in the beginning of my prep, I always take, I call it just an ECA stack, which is, do you know what that is? I'm sure.
I don't actually.
It's called an ECA stack. It's ephedrine, caffeine, and aspirin.
Oh my god.
And yes, I know, right? Like
Wait, what?
oh yeah, your heart rate through the roof. But you're getting thin, so you look
Dang.
past all that stuff.
Oh my
So
gosh. I ain't never
I
taken
was,
fat burner like that.
don't.
Mhm.
It's a really, really old school fat burner, because the yeah, it's really, really old school fat burner. And it's not actually sold all together. You have to buy ephedrine separately, caffeine separately, and baby aspirin. And
Wow.
you take 3 ephedrine, 1 caffeine pill, 1 baby aspirin, and you would just go from like normal to just like eyes wide open. But I
Dang.
was at the point sometimes in prep where I would go to Starbucks, I would get a venti Americano, wash down my fat burner, and be able to go home and take a nap.
No, you didn't.
Oh yeah, I was just done. Like I couldn't do
Yeah.
anything at that point. And my body was just like, no matter what. I remember the most I ever took in a day was like 3 of those stacks with all 3 with coffees. And like I said, I could still go home and sleep.
Wow.
Oh yeah, my body was like, no, your adrenals are done, everything's done, so we're just gonna, the effects just didn't work on me anymore. And that's when I knew too. I'm like, something has to change.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, like, when we do that kind of stuff, even things that we can buy just like in supplement bottle, like, it's amazing how much stress it can put on like the HPA axis, really, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, that is. And it's like, we are messing with our hormones, we're messing with our ability to have energy or create it or sustain it. And I think some people listening are like, I would do that. Like, they probably wrote down exactly what you said, ready to go. You know what I mean? Like, they want that. And yet I'm sure there's people on here going, is it worth it? When you really look at it and you take a step back, you go, is it worth it? And even doing things completely naturally, it's like it can still have its extremes, like you said, like 3 hours of cardio. Holy shit. I've never done 3 hours, but I've done a lot. And people don't know. Also, I think this is something I want to bring up with you as well. It's like, when you started, you didn't know anything about it. So it wasn't like when you were told to eat a certain way or do a certain amount of exercise, you weren't like questioning it. It was just like, yes, coach. But it's like, what allowed you, or what opened your eyes and helped you to learn more about the sport and learn that that wasn't the best way to go about it?
I think over time, you definitely have to go through trial and error when it comes to competing. And I think a lot of people will say that too. Every single prep is different. And I have switched coaches. And with me, I found that every single time I switched coaches, my body improved in some way. I was leaner in the lower body. My shoulders look nicer here. So I just learned so much. I've had 1, 2, 3 coaches throughout my entire competitive years. And once I started talking to other girls and asking, oh, what are you doing? What are you eating? And hearing what other people had to say, I was just like mind blown, because I couldn't believe how much of some things girls were doing and how little of some things another girl was doing.
Yeah.
And some girls, I just heard, I've heard really awesome stories, and that made me, want to look. I think every time I switched coaches, it was because I learned something new, and I was like, I want to find a coach that implements this into their coaching style. And I've learned so much about that. I'm actually, well, obviously because I'm not competing, I don't have a coach right now because I personally don't use one in the off season, because I think I'm definitely knowledgeable enough as to where I know what to do now.
Yeah.
And also, coaches are very expensive these days. Very expensive. So I find, unless I'm 100% into a prep, I just, don't want to spend that much money on a coach.
Yeah, a great lesson takeaway too for people listening. Sometimes, again, that feeling of, I have to have a coach in this time, or I need to be working with someone all the time. You don't have to. If you have taken the opportunity and the time to learn and ask questions and understand your body, you're able to start to see what you need. Now, of course, if you've never had experience building muscle or eating for that, I think you can still learn a lot. If you're really committed, go on YouTube or invest in a course.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly. People can learn so much stuff online. Online, it is saturated with things. Whether, if you're too embarrassed to go to the gym, just like you said, you can YouTube one different workout every day for the rest of your life.
yeah.
Just at home, just get yourself some bands and a simple little set of weights. There's just so much information out there. But I do get it if you're really new to this and you really don't know how to process that information, then you should implement a coach into your life, you know, especially if
Yes.
you have a hard time gaining muscle or you have really specific things that you want to work on, then for sure get a coach. But you know what? These days, so many people are so knowledgeable. Not even freaking go to Instagram, hashtag something.
I agree with
Hashtag,
you.
seriously, hashtag the word like fitness. A 10 million posts will come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's like, here's the thing. I'm a coach and I want people to invest in me. Obviously, that's my passion and I want to get paid for my passion and I want to see people get results. But at the end of the day, if you are capable of implementing it and you're knowledgeable enough, then why not? Granted, I think that obviously, like you said, there's so much information out there, but hire a coach. Coaching is implementation. If it's on a topic like, let's say, mindset or personal development, self-love, I'm naming things that I do because it makes sense to me, but it's like those are things that we can't always take an objective standpoint on. And like you said, if you are struggling with something, a second pair of eyes, a third pair of eyes, 5 pairs of eyes going to help you so much more. Like it's about result acceleration and understanding the commitment you're making is going to have an impact on the results you receive. And
100%. Like that is one thing that I did love about having a coach, is that having that second set of eyes, because I can ask my boyfriend, oh, like, how do I look? Oh, you look good. You look good, but you always look good. Like, no, what? No.
Give me the truth.
Yeah, give me the truth.
Yeah.
Let me know. Whereas a coach will, you know, coaches break it down. You know, you don't pay coaches to be your friend. You pay them for their knowledge and their expertise. And having an extra set of eyes on you can really, really help excel your goals and pertaining to what you're trying to, you know, strive for with your body.
Totally. It's almost like it's kind of takes the pressure off yourself as well, because I've talked to girls who prep themselves. I am friends with girls who prep themselves. We've brought girls on here who do that or have done that. And every single time I talk to them, they all say when they've had a coach, it eliminates that added stress of having to manipulate everything they do on their own. Waking up and looking in the mirror on prep can be especially difficult. And if you are having a little bit of a skewed image, well, that's going to probably hurt you. You're not going to peak.
You know, what's interesting is I have a girlfriend of mine who's a pro, really well-known pro. She's actually like 3.5 weeks up from the Arnold. She prepped herself her entire career, won her pro card herself, did, I think she did a few pro shows. And when she went pro, did a few pro shows, got first call outs for all her shows, and then decided, okay, I'm going to join a coach. She joined with a coach who then put muscle on her, which she did not need.
Oh no.
And then she did 3 shows under his guidance and got like second, third, and last call out. And when you're used to getting first call out, prepping yourself, she said, you know what, I am done. And she even had Sandy Williamson, you know, our head female judge, tell her, whatever you were doing, go back to doing that. Go back to the look you had before. So she got rid of her coach and she started prepping herself again, did well, but she's actually with the coach again right now. I think it was just the wrong fit. And that's another thing when it comes to coaches too, is it's hard to find a coach, but if you find someone that's a right fit, it can be such a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
You know,
Never let him go.
Yeah, my very first coach that I had, I'm still friends with her to this day. And so she's so awesome. So awesome. She taught me so much stuff. I never in my life knew what a plyometric was.
Wow. I need that. That's awesome. I love that. Coaches, mentors, like people in our life like that who can come in and teach us in ways, things that we never even knew. Like when I started my business, I didn't know what a lead was. I had no idea. And I hired a mentor and now I know what a lead is. You know, it's like crazy. The things
wow, that's awesome. That's good, though. That's great to hear.
Thank you. Yeah, it's like
No, sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say, I think it's amazing, like the things that we think we know and then we don't realize how much we don't know until we hire someone or we invest in someone or we listen to someone and we learn so much more.
Oh yeah. I was with a coach and I was just like, you want me to eat? I went from eating the 3 raspberries,
Uh-huh.
eating like so much food where like, I remember I would go down to the Fisherman's Wharf in Vancouver here and I'd buy like fresh albacore tuna from him. And I'd go home and cook it. And like one slab of tuna was like 3 or 4 meals because it was like these huge portions. I'm like, I was terrified. I'm like, I don't think I should eat this. He's like, just eat it. You'll be fine. And
That's awesome.
yeah, that was really, really awesome. That was a good time. But it actually did get to a point where I'm like, I can't finish all my food.
Yeah, that's so common too. And like, have you ever noticed women who get into competing, they come from like sometimes chronic dieting, that then when they're introduced to having a lot of food because, we eat a lot as athletes that then they struggle. Have you ever met people like that?
I've personally never met anybody like that, but I know of one pro, again, another separate girl who's also getting ready for the Arnolds, and she had an eating disorder years ago, and now she's like a pro and she's really popular. And I've just heard stories like that where women that came from eating disorder backgrounds are able to get into competing, and it changes them for the better, because
Yeah.
they're able to focus on something else besides food. But sorry, I'm steering away from the question here because I
No,
kind of got
no,
it.
yeah, no, you're totally doing well. I was just thinking about people who have had struggles like eating all the food that their coach has prescribed, and it sounds like you're covering that well.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I was getting to. And I remember somebody asked her if that was hard because coming from that type of background, and she actually said it was in the beginning, but she definitely got used to it. But she said it definitely was hard to eat all that food because some coaches really give you a lot of food, and eating 6-7 times a day, like that's just, I personally couldn't eat that much. It was just so many meals. I felt like as soon as I put down my fork, I had to pick it back up again.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like, when you're in prep, it's, every 2-3 hours. And
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing I really don't miss. I, I eat right now when I'm hungry.
That's what I was gonna ask you. What are you doing right now in your improvement season? Because some girls are like, "There's no difference between prep and improvement season for me," and other girls are like, "There's a big difference." So,
Oh,
what?
there's a huge difference.
Yeah, I want to know like what that looks like for you.
Okay, so in terms of my diet, I don't restrict myself in terms
Mhm.
of anything. What I do though is I do follow my Fitness Pal, the app. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a caloric intake in there every day that I do follow, and I don't limit myself to just like, chicken breast, fish, sweet potato, green beans, asparagus, just a typical competition
My
food.
favorite foods.
Right. You know what? Realistically, sweet potatoes are one of my favorite
No,
foods.
for real
If
though.
someone else will cut them up and wash them, cut them up, and bake them for me. It's so time consuming. But
Oh, yeah.
so that's what I do in terms of my diet. And that's Monday to Friday. On weekends, I kind of allow myself to just relax and I don't go wild. If I want to go out and have wings, I have wings. And that, but
Mhm.
like I said, that's only on the weekends. During the week, I always stay within my caloric amount, and I would honestly say probably 70% clean.
Nice.
And in terms of my workouts, I just try and I want to, there's so many things out there nowadays. I always want to try something new. I always see people doing, neat little things on Instagram or YouTube. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this my next workout. And I went again, from different coaches. My one coach, I did so many plyometrics. I thought my knees were going to fall off. So much plyos.
Uh-huh.
And then my next coach was like an old school bodybuilding coach. So now I just try and mix things up. I find my happy medium though is strength training, definitely mixed in with like metabolic training and plyometrics. That's what makes me happy, and that's what my body responds to. So that's what
Yeah.
I do now. And I definitely go to the gym 5 days a week. It's not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's like Monday, Tuesday. Maybe I'll skip Wednesday if I feel sore. I'll go Thursday, Friday. It's just like that. But I always make sure I'm there 5 days a week. So to me, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's
You
really
know,
good, especially in the improvement season. Having that
oh,
rest and
especially.
recovery is like prime.
And then also one of my friends recently moved close to me, and she got like I got her a week free pass to my gym, and
Mhm.
this girl literally drove like half an hour to come work out with me. And I was so impressed by her doing that. I just paid for her gym membership
Oh
for
my
3 months.
God.
So it's so nice. It's so nice to have a workout buddy, because it just pushes me to push harder, because she doesn't know much about fitness. So I'm it's almost like she's getting like a personal training session every single time we work out. But it's
Yeah.
great. It's great because I'm pushing myself as I'm pushing her. So it's really, really fun right now. And, if I was on prep, I couldn't bring her through my workout and be like, okay, well, this is what I have to do. So you have to do it too.
Right.
Right now it's
Absolutely.
just fun. It's just fun. And we're planning some hikes and doing fun things. I remember I was on prep once and I went for a hike, and I actually rolled my ankle. And my coach said, no more hikes. My coach
That's
sent out a
scary.
massive email to everybody in the team saying no hiking while I'm prep.
Oh my gosh, that is so scary. I'll like run in the hills on prep, and that's one of my biggest fears. Like I'll if I slip on a rock, I'm like, I'm not running for the rest of this month. Like I won't do it on this trail or
Oh,
anywhere. It's
where do you live again?
I live in California, so I actually live in a town with
Oh,
like I can step outside my front door and I have trails everywhere.
are you serious?
Yes, it's beautiful.
Is it hot right now?
No, it's been dumping rain. Like I'm sure once this episode is released, it's gonna be beautiful spring day, amazing.
Oh my
But right
God.
now, it's been raining, flash flood warnings. Like we just
Oh
had
my
a bunch of
God.
fires here, where I live, and then it was like
Oh, you mean that massive fire like a few months ago?
in Malibu and Thousand Oaks area. Yep,
Oh, that's
that's
terrible.
it's right in the middle of all of it. Luckily, nothing came too close to us. I mean, we could see it on our big hill. It's called Boney Mountain. But yeah, it was wild. And then all this rainstorm. So we're very lucky because all our hills are finally turning green. But of course, at the same time,
Wow.
floods, mudslides, things like that. But yeah, so I'll run outside a lot because I live in this beautiful weather.
Yeah, my brother lives in California too, and I'm going to go there probably around. I'll probably go to California probably around closer to summer. Like I want to go there when it's like peak nice weather, right? So like I can't wait for you to come and do run. Is it called Runyon Canyon? Runyon something?
Oh yeah. Running Canyon.
Yeah. He's like, I'm like, it looks so easy. I don't want to do it. He's like, it's hard. I'm like, okay.
Mm.
Is it? What would you say? Is it hard?
uh, Depends how often I've been doing cardio, I guess.
Oh. It's so funny. That's so funny to that, because sometimes I have to run I'll run across the grocery store and I'm like, oh, what is going on? And then in prep, I remember I was waking up every day, like my last prep I did, throwing on my fanny pack, headphones, and running for like 90 minutes, just straight running, because I was right beside the water. I was happy. I was thin. Life was good.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
now, like, to run across the street, I'm like huffing and puffing.
This isn't building muscle.
Seriously, because I just don't want to I do cardio about 3 days a week. I just don't want to do a shit ton of it, because when it comes time to prep again, I just want to do my cardio and have my body respond, because my body does respond. Like I see instant changes. I don't mean instant, but if I am 100% on diet and 100% of my plan, definitely 3 weeks in, I see changes. So
Yeah.
that's why I just prefer to just not do a lot of cardio my off season. And I know everyone's views on that are different. Some people are like, no, I still have to do cardio every single day just so I keep that momentum up. And I'm just like, have fun.
Yeah. I'll see you on stage later,
Seriously,
like looking the same. Like it's all good.
exactly. I will see you on stage.
Yeah, for real. And I think like everybody is different, everybody's mind is different, of course. Right now I'm not doing any cardio except for sometimes like throwing in a little bit here and there, like, but that was for health reasons, and that sounds so counterintuitive, but it's like
No, that's awesome. That's why that's so
yeah.
funny. That's why I do cardio too. I'm like, I'm here just so my heart stays healthy. Because my
Exactly.
goal right now isn't to have like, you know, the tiniest little body. So if it was, then it'd be different. But my cardio is just what you do. Actually, I just throw it in at the end or the beginning of a workout. Like I'll do maximum like 30 minutes max. I don't go anymore and do. Thank God I haven't had the 3-hour cardio in years. It's been a long time since I did
Yeah.
that. But you know, and that cardio to that 3-hour cardio, by the way, that was all treadmill, pretty much. It was
Ugh,
like crazy treadmill
my
drills and
knees hurt.
straight running. I could not believe my knees even were able to withstand that.
I can't believe it either. I thought like I ran like an hour every single day straight into like 2 weeks out to like peak week time, and I thought that was nuts, and it was nuts, but it was super empowering as well. And um,
Yes.
that's like one of the things about prep that is awesome, is like very empowering. There's always so much to accomplish every day, like a new goal, and same with the improvement season as well. But like prep, it's like that laser focus. And I think like even going back to what we were talking about with the extremes, like regardless, like obviously as a competitor we have to train hard, we have to eat consistently, we have to get sleep, micronutrients, and have our mindset on point. And if you don't have that, obviously nothing extra is going to help you anyways. Like it's not magic. And of course, as a competitor, you're also making an impact. So once you turned pro, what were some of those things going through your head about your representation of the sport and female athletes as a whole?
Once I turned pro, I felt like so many more eyes were on me, you know, because once I did achieve like the elusive IFBB pro status, I'm so sorry. Can you actually, my cat just scratched me. Can you repeat the question we just said? Because I got distracted for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course. Like when you became a pro, what were
Uh-huh.
some of those things going through your head about your representation of the sport and of female athletes altogether?
Well, trying to even think back to what I thought back then. I was so happy when I actually went pro. when I,
Yeah.
you know, when I went pro, it was nice to represent, you know, because it was right. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. When I did go pro, it felt really good to be able to represent for women, and especially for tall women, because
Yeah.
I'm really tall, by the way. I'm 5'11".
Yeah, that's very tall.
Yeah, it's so tall. I remember actually too, when I went pro at the time, there was only like 2 other girls in the entire pro league that were the same height as me.
I didn't realize you were so tall until I was looking at like these photos on your Instagram, and like this one girl just like extremely short, and I was like, she's either really tall or that girl's really short. And now I know you're really tall.
Yeah, I was luckily I was lucky enough to be able to get a pro card at my height, because in Canada it's really different because in the States, I know at certain shows down there they give out pro cards to every height class winner. Whereas in
Mhm.
Canada, we just have like 4 or 5 height classes and they just give 2 pro cards to the 2 overall winners. That's how it works up here.
Yeah, Laura Lee Chapados was just on and she was telling us that same thing. I was like, what the heck? That's very difficult.
Oh my goodness, Laura Lee is my girl. We have
Aw.
it's so funny because my last name is Chip. It starts hers is Chap, so I call us Chip and Chap.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah, I was with her when she did her first pro show, and that's where we actually met.
Wow.
We'll just never forget because we were talking backstage. She was the sweetest person ever, and then we were lined up. We're always, no matter what show we're gonna do, we're always gonna be her first, then me. Yeah, her then me, because when you do pro
Mhm.
shows, you come out alphabetically.
Mhm.
So we were always together, and we just became such good friends. And she's an
Aw.
incredible representation of the sport right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. I love hearing about the friendships that get made as well. Some people think, oh, like I wonder if these girls are really catty or if it's competition's on, dagger eyes type thing. But can you tell us a little bit about like friendships that have been developed, that you've seen developed, or
Oh,
you have?
I have such good friendships with so many girls. Like, there are so many pros out there who are just so incredibly sweet. Like
Mhm.
Lorelai is just one of them. You know, became friends, and I I love Jade Atkinson. She's a Canadian pro. Ashley Janelle,
Mm-hmm.
Frida Paulson Stern, Marissa. There's just so many girls out there that I have the experience of meeting who are just so super cool in person. Ruth,
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, I don't know her last name. Starts with a P.
Pineda.
Yes, her. Yes, I remember. I loved her because I found out she's the same height as me. I'm like, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's also tall too, which was really good. I've met, like I said, I've just met so many girls that are so amazing, and we still, we keep in contact every day through Instagram or through text messages. And it's so nice that I have been able to develop these friendships, because it's really cool when you're a pro, whether you're a pro or amateur. It's really cool to be able to text your friend and be like, hey, are you going to go to this show? Are you doing this show? Because if you are, then let's share a room. After, let's go eat our celebratory dinner together. Let's hang out, for a few days after. We'll do fun things. And I think I've been able to experience that. And it's just so fun. And it's nice that even though we're not competing, I'm not competing, but a lot of those girls are getting ready for shows right now. So I'm just like their biggest fan.
Oh.
I've personally, I'm trying to think if I've ever met, I've only met one caddy pro my entire life, but I've heard horror stories.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I've heard really bad stories of girls just having really nasty attitudes and, pissed off they're not in first call out. And I
Damn.
don't know why he's in first call, but, bad mouthing other people. But I don't do that. I just don't do that, because it's just not my style personally.
Yeah, I can tell it's definitely not your style, and you're a very genuine person. And I think more often than not, there are so many amazing friendships that can be developed. And like you said, amateur, pro level, like these are really women who understand what you're going through, and you have these opportunities to connect. And I think that's awesome, and it's really exciting to hear that too, because I have great teammates. I have great friendships I've developed on Instagram, great friendships I've developed through running this show as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. And it's like,
Oh,
you
no,
know,
sorry. Continue.
no, I mean, I was it's just like, it's surprising sometimes, like how some girls don't see it that way, because it's really amazing what you can create here.
Oh yeah, I've met so many girls like through Instagram that I remember I went to the Arnold, the Olympia this year, and I was just like, to the expo, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet so and so, so and so, so and so, and I did it. I was, who is actually, I have to shout her out. She is the one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life. Is Ashley Catwasser.
I know. I just met
Holy
her
smokes,
too, and
girl!
at the
Like,
expo.
Ashley is exactly as she is on her Instagram. She is this happy little bubble of life. Like, I met her when she won Toronto Pro years ago, and I think she went on after that to win her first Olympia. And I'll never forget, I met her in the bathroom at the Toronto Pro, and she was just such a sweetheart. And we just, we followed each other on Instagram, and always kept up with each other then and there. And I was at the Olympia this year, and somebody screamed my name from like behind me, and I'm like, huh? And I turned around, and it's Ashley. Tiny little,
Oh,
and she's just the biggest sweetheart, always have a smile on her face, and she's such an incredible person. I really like her.
that's so cute. And what's really cool and like totally coincidental is that literally like her episode is coming out the exact day that yours is going to come out, like the 22nd of Feb, and yours is the 22nd of March. Like, that's
Oh my God, that's
crazy.
so cool.
I know. I love it. It's so aligned. Like, just really cool. And she was super sweet when I met her. You're amazing. Like, you're so sweet. Like, it doesn't surprise me that all these girls who are just nice. I actually met Frida in the bathroom. That was really random at the Olympia. Like, it's just like the
She's awesome too. Yeah.
yeah, she is awesome. And there's like attracts like, there's a lot of amazing women. Like, this sport requires a certain type of person as well, so it's easier to connect. And I kind of want to like shift actually the focus more on you and personal stuff about you, because you are so amazing and you're so much more than competing, of course. And in the past, you were doing things like photography for urban magazines, and that was in your 20s, and traveling. And now I know you're working for this anti-gang company as well. And I would just love to hear like how all of this has manifested over time, and why this aspect of like those types of growth patterns have meant so much to you, or how they've impacted you.
I think I helped, and obviously, I manifested them myself because I changed as a person, and fitness really was a big part of that. Fitness did teach me, it taught me, obviously, number one, discipline. It taught me a lot about my self-respect and, how I carry myself, how I put myself out there. And before fitness, like, I'm not saying it was like over the top, but I was different. I had super long nails and always like kind of, wild makeup and pink lips and big hair. And it was just so much. And I
Mm-hmm.
got into fitness. I tamed down myself. I tamed down my look. I changed a lot about me in so many aspects, not just my physical being. And I think the energy that I put out there, I attracted different people into my life. And the people I attracted to my life presented me with these opportunities that I'd always wanted to be a part of. But I had to change myself first. And then once I did that, all these, like, the universe just put them into my life right at the perfect time. Because if some of these people approach me to do the things that I do now, and this was, before I was into fitness, I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm happy doing this. I'm happy going to the club every, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and blowing all my money shopping and just doing just stupid things. But everything happened at the exact time that it was supposed to.
Mm.
And I think that's just how my life is currently going right now. Everything's just happening when it's supposed to.
Universal law.
Oh,
So
for sure.
that's an amazing feeling, knowing that not only are you able to manifest the things that you desire, but you have transformed yourself on, beyond the surface level in ways that has allowed you to attract that. And you've showcased in many of your posts, and of course in this conversation, that your personal growth means a lot to you. And I'm wondering, can you share with us, like, do you do anything specific that you think others could try or do, that you've done for your own personal development, or a successful mindset?
I got into a lot of reading this year. The
Mm-hmm.
last little year and a bit, I've started to read a lot more. And at first it was hard because I was so used to staring at a phone that turning a page, like 3 pages in, I'd like fall asleep, or just like my head would nod off. And
Mm-hmm.
I got into doing little things, like I would I went and I bought, like, it's like not like a normal book, just like a tiny little size book that I could just open every single day, and I would just flip it open to random thoughts. And I'd wake up, I had such a routine. I'd wake up, walk over to my table, open up the book, read a thought for the day, and it would just like lighten my day and just start it in such a positive way. And I really do find that reading helped me a lot. And like, for example, right now I'm just reading the Michelle Obama book.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody just gave it to me as a gift. They gave me the book actually along with floor seats to see her when she comes in March.
Oh, that's so sweet of them.
So I'm so excited to see that, because I look up to women like that. There's so many people out there. And a good girlfriend, a really, really good girlfriend of mine from Vancouver, she's also an IFBB pro who's doing incredible things. Her name is Annette De La Rosa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She she's also showed me so many different books that I should be reading, and that she recommends. And because she's just changed her whole mantra in terms of like competing, and her as a person, she's just grown so much. She was heavily involved in the fitness industry, like a really well-known sponsored athlete, this and that, all the shebang. And she just, she left competing, changed her lifestyle, and now she's so much happier with the growth that she's experienced in her life. And she also told me that I should try meditating. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I can't turn my mind off. It's going to be too hard, until I tried it. And then once I tried it, I'm like, whoa, I need to do this more. And I don't do it every single day. I definitely do it once or twice a week. And it makes it, I can't believe I'm able to clear my mind. And once you're done that, you honestly feel like you're like floating on a cloud. And
Yes.
I recommend to people that, are like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Honestly, it's so simple to do, because all you do is, there's thousands of apps out there. I just literally Googled meditation app, and one came up. It's called Insight. Like, I am,
My favorite, girl.
stop
Yes.
it.
I'm serious. That's my
Bro,
favorite.
that is the app, okay?
It
That is
is.
the app of all apps. If I'm like feeling, if I'm having, I go through emotions like we all do. If I'm feeling like, a bit of anxiety or this or that, I go to my Insight app, I click on something. I like the guided meditations and I just close my eyes. Even my boyfriend told me, I'm like, I'm going in the room, I'm closing the door, do not bother me.
That's exactly right.
Seriously, I have my headphones in for 10 minutes, just lay there. And after it's all said and done, I'm like, wow, that was just, I love that app and I highly, highly recommend it to everybody to download, everybody. I use it for meditation. I use it for random anxiety. I use it to go to sleep, for everything. I really, really like it. It's good to see that you like it too.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's like it's amazing. I'll go on it and I'll just like look up what I need right then because you can literally just go to the meditation section and or the search bar and it's like what the heck and you can mark that you completed it, which makes you feel really good
Yeah,
too. Like I
it's
love
so
it.
awesome.
It
And I
is.
like that. I like that there's just so many options on there too.
Yeah, it's endless. And then like they have those courses now too. I'm just like blown away.
Yeah.
I know it's like premium membership, but it's like, dang, like you can just like everything you need is at your fingertips now, and you can either get sucked into what doesn't matter at your fingertips, or you can get sucked into what does. And obviously, meditating, reading, choosing to invest in something that is important to you. Those are things that can change our life right now. And I'll literally go on the Insight timer. I'll be like, I don't feel like meditating, but I know I need it, and I'll do a 5-minute meditation. Five
And you
minutes.
feel
All you
great
need.
after, right?
Yes, exactly. You feel good. You feel like you're way more ready for the day. Sometimes it's less like that. If I look back on my day, I'm like, that's what shifted my state. And I used to think I couldn't meditate either. And then I realized what meditation was. And I actually learned through the app called Headspace. That's how I learned, like, oh, meditation isn't this weird, like, thing that only, like, monks
Yeah.
in the
Oh
forest
my God, that's so me too. I'm like, only girls that do like yoga can
do.
meditate. Like,
For
I'm like, I
real.
can't. I literally just, I don't know why I put that wall up. I'm like, I can't close off my mind. And once I did it, I was like, wow, I need to do this like all day.
Yeah, I know. If only.
People that don't meditate need to understand that honestly, you can click 0 to 5 minutes and you can get, somebody can get into your head and you can feel better about yourself and just about things in general in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I like the guided meditations, and I just love, clicking it onto and hearing a soothing voice. Welcome.
Hmm. Yeah, that was perfect. You should do some. So true. It feels so good, and you're like investing that time in yourself and knowing like this is something you're choosing to get better. It's like something you can do anytime. And I think like we can overcomplicate things. And something I like to do is just like my own little meditation. If I don't have something to do right then, or if it's just throughout the day at a random time, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'll like sit down, close my eyes, put my hand on my heart, and just take deep belly breaths, really, and think about my intentions for the day or think about what's going on, ask myself what I need. And the more you meditate, the more you're able to develop a deeper connection with yourself. And, meditating can look different for different reasons or different people or different approaches. And I think it's about like removing the labels. It's kind of like
For
removing the labels.
sure it is.
Yeah, it's like anything. We label so much in our life, like good, bad, unhealthy, healthy. When it's like,
Yeah.
why
You
do
know,
we have
and
to label it?
what's interesting is also Annette told me, I saw, and she told me this, and I saw she put on her Instagram. It's so simple, but she's like, you should just like wake up every morning. And I see a lot of girls do this. They write down, it's just something positive, something that they're grateful for.
Yep.
And so I told myself, oh, like, I don't know why I didn't write it down, but I said, I'm going to wake up and tell myself 3 things in the morning I'm positive for. And whether it's like my couch, my cat, and my coffee cup, it's still 3 things that I'm happy for. That,
Yes.
that I'm grateful to have, because, not a lot of people can have the things that I have.
I know. Isn't it
So,
wild? Like the
oh,
amount
it's
of
crazy. It's
The amount of
crazy.
times I've written down in my journal, like I'm grateful for my fuzzy socks and like warmth and coziness. I'm like,
Wow.
it's like those are things that like I'll literally sit at my desk and I'll be like, I'm so cold. And I'm like, I have a closet full of jackets, fuzzy socks, warm blankets, and I'm complaining about being cold. Like there's people who don't have a choice to be cold. They just are. And it's perspective when we can be so deeply connected in gratitude. And I like to think of one thing I'm looking forward to for the day, every single day, right when I wake up, gets me
Oh,
like,
that's good. That's a
yeah.
good one too.
It got me back in the groove because for a while I was like, oh, I don't like journaling anymore. And I was just like forcing myself to do things. And then I was like, what's one thing that I need? And it was like, I need something to look forward to every day. And that's what got me back in the group really. And there's a lot of things we can do, of course, to align ourselves to growth, and you have been able to grow a lot through competing through your life, and right now you're making a lot of things happen with your career and things are falling into place. So what do you think internally has shifted for you, aside from, of course, the actions you've taken, but what are like maybe thought patterns that have shifted, or the way that you think about life? Like, has anything like that changed that you think has played a role in this?
You know, I I've stopped putting so much stress and emphasis on only my physical being,
Mm.
because I was so heavily involved in fitness for so long that everything that mattered to me was physical in terms of how I looked. And once I realized that I have to start taking care of and growing the mental part of myself, that's when things started to change. That's when a lot of doors open. And that's when I realized, like, wow, there's so much more to me than just the physical aspect of Ebony. And once I
Mm.
started exercising my brain, just like I said, just so many doors open. And I swear, even my speech got better. Just
Yeah.
things just started to change once I started, like I said, started to focus on that and just nourished my brain. And I also, I'm really big on fish oil for brain. I take really high potency fish oil because I
Hmm.
really, really love it. And I feel like it works for me personally. So once I started to like nourish my mental health, and by saying by mental health, I mean, like, I've never had any mental health issues, but I just mean like not putting all my focus on my physical being. Once I start to change up top, then that's when the serious growth did start in my life,
Mm.
because it's
Absolutely.
always been so physical driven. And
Yeah.
it's nice to see. I think that's why I keep wanting to see different things happen in my life and experience new things now, because I'm like, wow, if I put focus into something else, great things can happen. I remember someone, it was actually an ex-boyfriend, he said to me, Ebony, he said, if you put 1% of the effort into anything else that you put into competing, he said, you should be a millionaire 10 times over. I'm like, really? He's like, you have no idea what it's like. He's like, you are so focused and like nothing gets in your way. You are a bulldozer when you compete. And I'm telling you, 1% of that put into anything else, you can excel. So I'm like, let me try this.
And look at you.
And then it just all manifested itself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, for sure. And I think a lot of us go through similar things that I think more people are like awakening that aspect. Like it's definitely happening. It's obvious like this a shift occurring anyways where it's not all about the physical dimension anymore. And I think like I learned it in an interesting way. Like I actually had mental health problems, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, an
Oh,
attempt, things like
wow.
that. Yeah, it was really intense. And the thing
But
that I thought, the thing that I
oh, I was
thought,
gonna, no,
huh?
oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I was gonna say, when
No.
when was that? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, for sure. I was actually in high school, and my earliest memory of it started in middle school, but it really became more serious in high school. And it was actually like, I think it was 2012 that I was like, that was when I had a suicide attempt. And then I, luckily, nothing happened from that. Learned a lot, found
Wow.
a lot of love for life, but I also was just very unhappy. I was like looking in the mirror, unhappy, and I thought that physical changes would solve everything. I was like, I
Right?
like I'll just start controlling what I eat and how I move my body, and I'll become an even better athlete, and all my problems will be solved. And then years go by, I'm feeling good, confidence is up, feeling like I can accomplish things, but every time I look at my body, it's still not enough, like,
Mm-hmm.
and that was tough because you put so much effort in and it's never enough. And I thought, I'm still depressed, I'm still anxious about my depression, not as suicidal, but I had moments, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And that was the moment I realized, like, literally my mission now, which is to help people build more than just a body. That's when I realized that's what fitness is. It's deeper than surface
That's
level.
awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
so I love that. That's so beautiful to help people build more than a body.
Thank you. I
That is
appreciate that.
that is such a great mantra.
Oh, thank you. I don't think I've ever come on here and been able to actually share some of my own stuff. I feel very comfortable and able to do that with our
Oh,
conversation. So I
that's so
appreciate that.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's nice that our conversation's more than like, oh, so today I ate 3 ounces of ground turkey, 100 grams of green peppers.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, right. And
Me
I
too.
honestly, I do not wrong it. I do not wrong it at all. There are girls who are just. I know girlfriends that are single. My girlfriend is single. Won her pro card not too long ago, and she's like, had an off season and prepping for a show, and it's just like life is competing. That is it. She doesn't go out. I'm like, dude, do you own any makeup? Like, you ever like do your eyebrows, like anything, like? And she's
Hmm.
like, no, but I don't care. And it's not a negative way. She competing is just her life. But
Yeah.
I just don't want that to be my life personally, and that's why I just, like I said, I tell my truth, and I hope my truth helps other people feel
Oh,
comfortable enough
for sure.
to tell theirs.
Everything you've shared already on this episode, I'm like, there are so many people who need to hear that and know that you're okay with it, and
Mhm.
they can be okay with it. And I know, like, last year I was like, competing was my life, and I'm still very excited and focused on getting back to that, but that's not my life right now. Health is my major focus, and
That's great.
thank you. I'm like, there's no problem. And I literally wrote a post, but it's too long for Instagram. So I have to like freaking, do the whole character count thing. Cause like I can't fit anything in
Oh,
2,100
shit.
words, or letters or whatever it is. And I was thinking like, just because your focus isn't being the smallest, the leanest, the tightest, the most, cut you've ever been right now, doesn't mean it never will be again.
Exactly. And that is constantly what I get asked. Will you compete again? Will you compete again? Someone said to me not too long ago, do you still love the stage? I'm like, yes. Freaking light. Like, when I get on
Is the
stage, like,
sky blue?
girl, yeah, like, I love being on stage. And will I get on stage again? I would love to. But everything in my life, I feel like, has to be aligned. I have to find, like I said, I don't have a coach right now. I have to find a coach I'm comfortable with, someone whose values and are just like mine, and whose goals are similar to what I want to achieve in terms of, for a coach. And I think that I definitely know that person's out there. But as for right now, like I said, I'm not I don't need a coach right now because I'm not, diving into a prep. But that day will come again when I will step on stage. It's going to be a great day. But until then, I'm just growing my mental state.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is happening with perfect timing, like you said, and it's all gonna unfold. And the best way for it to happen in the most rewarding way is when it's out of aligned action, and you're clearly doing that. Like, that's what's making the difference in the long run. And I feel, honestly, like, totally real with you. Like, this is one of those conversations I wish wouldn't end, because I am loving it so much. Like, everything we're talking about is just real. It's raw. It's vulnerable. It's the things that I love about this, like, about what I do. And I want to say thank you, of course, for being on here and having a real conversation. It's been really amazing.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I feel I love that that I'm at the point now in my life where I'm able to, tell, for example, like, tell people, about that I did have like a bit of a troubled past, and due to a bad relationship, that I can share that story now. I'm happy to say that, competing and fitness my life doesn't revolve around it now. I like telling my story, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to do that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you are and that you were able to come on here and we connected. And I want everybody, of course, to be able to say thank you to you. But before we get into that, before we get into like where they can find you, I don't want to forget to ask, but do you have any advice for someone who hasn't competed yet but is thinking about competing, and then advice for someone who is competing and on the hunt for their pro card?
Someone that's never competed before, I would definitely say, please take your time and find a good coach. A coach, in my opinion, a really good coach can make or break your physique, because there's so many different ways that coaches can, bring you in for shows. And I just say, do your research. Do not pick a coach because they're popular on Instagram, you know,
Mm.
because so many coaches, there are coaches out there that actually pay their clients to constantly big them up and shout them out on Instagram. And I know this for,
What?
oh yeah, I know this for a fact. And so I just say to someone that's never competed before, please do your research and talk to a few coaches before you decide which one. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask anything. Do not be afraid to ask, the coaches, if they, what fat burners they use. Like, do they, have their clients use things that are like under the counter? Just don't be afraid to ask questions. And in terms of anybody chasing your pro card, like I said before, I was lucky enough to get my pro card on my first try. But I know people that have tried 8-9 times to get the pro card and they finally got it. And
Mm.
just honestly, you can just never ever give up if it's a dream of yours. Because being able to achieve pro status, even if you just I know someone that just got her pro status, so 2016, and just didn't do a pro show because she's like, I just wanted to get that pro status, and then that's it. She used it to excel her business. So if that's really your dream, just do not give up, and don't let things get to you. I know it's really hard, so you can go from winning all your local shows to doing, the North Americans and then just bombing there. It's
Mm.
easy for me to say, don't let it get to you, but you really have to have a thick skin when it comes to competing, because it is such a subjective sport.
Mm.
And on show day, everybody looks great, but just that one girl, that one guy looked better to that particular panel of judges. People need to understand, and I know that people that have competed have seen this. You can be in front of one panel, you will get first call out. The next week, you will do another show and be dead last, just because it's a different set of judges. So please, competitors out there, do not give up.
Mm. Yeah, that's great. I really felt that. Like, it was really great advice, and it's empowering advice, and it's inspiring as well. And it's advice that can reconnect us to our why, never giving up because it's a dream. And I appreciate that perspective. And like I said, I really appreciate you coming on, and I want everybody else to be able to say thank you and connect with you. Just like when you give speeches, I want them to be able to message you and reach out
Yay.
and just say thank you, or let them know what they loved. A lot of the girls and guys, anybody, mostly girls who listen, the competitors, they screenshot the episodes and they'll say like things that they love, and I want them to be able to tag you. So can you just
Oh,
let them
that's
know?
great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Where
So where can they follow you, connect with you, all of that?
you can follow me. I do not have Facebook. The only social media platform that I have is Instagram, and my Instagram is at Eboney. It's EBONEY _IFBB Pro.
Awesome. Okay,
And
cool.
I'm one of those persons. Ugh. I'm one of those people where I check my messages. I respond to questions. Like, I'm super cool. Like, if someone just asks me like a glute, I get so much glute questions, and I answer people. I know some girls that are like, oh, if you want me to answer your question, buy my monthly program. Like, I'm not like that at all. If you send me a question, comment, I'll respond to you. I
That's
love hearing from
awesome.
people.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you have such a genuine heart. Like, I can tell you really love people. You love helping people. You like to empower people. Like, just the things you've said about people on this podcast, even. Like, you're just so nice and just uplifting. It's so obvious. Like, so cool. And I appreciate you being on. And for everybody listening, all that information is going to be on the show notes page, per usual, on www.celestial.fit/podcast. Actually, if you haven't noticed yet, the page has been edited, And now it's going to be a lot cleaner when you go on your mobile. You'll be able to see, of course, all the categories and just scroll down. If you're listening to this, right when it's released, her name's going to be at the top. If you're listening to this months later, go to the categories and you'll be able to find her name in that section and get all the show notes, connect with her, and all that jazz. So I also want to say thank you to everybody who is supporting the show. Your support goes a long way in helping me with the production of the show, of course, and my goal has really been to release an episode every week. You guys are helping me make that happen. Your support, your reviews, your ratings, like it means so much to me because it's like the payoff. It's like the reward to know this is making an impact on your life. So thank you guys so much for listening, of course. And to everybody out there who is listening, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world while you're listening to this episode. Make it awesome.